We're on the way to Wolfsburg. It was founded as the Town of the Strength Through Joy car, the name first given to the original Volkswagen. And today this large town is still mainly dependent on the motor industry. But for once we haven't come to look at the Volkswagen factory or the recently opened Autostadt. We're going to visit a primary school in the Laagberg district of Wolfsburg, known as the Laagbergschoole, which had the distinction of celebrating its 50th birthday in 1998. We've been using a video camera to record daily life at the school for more than 3 years. Originally, we only intended to film a certain part of the timetable, the school council, for scientific research. But we were so impressed by what we saw and experienced during those 3 years that we've made a full documentary. A documentary about a completely normal school, which is, however, something special. At first glance, it seems no different from other schools. As in many other primary schools, the little ones are often in a big hurry to start the school day. As we know, they tend to be less eager as they get older. The classroom is a scene of great activity. There's a lot to do. The flowers must go back on the windowsill, the monitors must do their jobs, and there are all sorts of things to be got ready. The children know their daily routine by heart, and all the rules and rituals that go with it. Some are already sitting in the morning circle. Rules and rituals make sure that the school's daily life runs smoothly. The morning circle is an important part of this and is run according to a definite plan. The first thing is to choose the next child to open proceedings. Then they see who is absent, and then they pass the wish for the day from hand to hand. Whoever is holding the red ball has the right to speak, and can give others permission to speak. This teaches the children to take turns to speak. Let's have a closer look at the children in this circle. As we see, some of them are very young, while others, like Stefan here, seem to be a lot older. We are not mistaken. Sitting together here, and not by chance, are children from 3 forms or grades. The children are all taught together, not just today, but throughout their whole time at primary school. And not just in this class, but in the whole school.
You may think this question a bit heretical. In principle, mixed age classes and separate age lessons are rather old-fashioned. It's like it used to be in village schools. And some people might say it's no longer suitable for today.
Der alte Abteilungsunterricht findet an unserer Schule.
Yes, in this school we do still work a bit with the old separate age lessons as part of this school experiment. For instance, when new pupils arrive, we put them all into one group and concentrate on working together for a while until they've settled in and can be independent. I'm sure there will always be some lessons for separate age groups. When we're explaining something new to particular children, we'll gather them into a group. On the other hand, the separate age lessons as an exclusive teaching method no longer exists. Instead, we look at the individual child and provide what he or she needs.
Die Altersmischung
Mixed age groups are again so important for us because they create a family situation. They imitate the natural family situation It's what kindergarten started to do more than 20 years ago, the introduction of family groups, because they were getting more and more only children in kindergarten, who then went on to school and lacked all kinds of social experiences, sharing, helping each other, ganging up against parents, not being a weak and lonely only. Kindergartens developed this pedagogic concept, and we carried it further by having mixed age groups in school. It's nothing new and nothing special. Many families can no longer offer the experience of growing up with siblings, so our school provides it instead. The children work according to a daily or weekly timetable. That means that within the framework of their assignments, they are free to decide what to do first and how fast to do it. The central point of the classroom is the teacher's table. It's where you go if you have a question. It's also where the teacher checks the children's work or gives special help to a child who needs it. Of course, there has to be a way of regulating this, to avoid cues and tailbacks. Each child has a clothes peg with his or her name on it, which is either pegged on the question or parked on the line. Marcel has decided to use the Cuisinart rods. He still has to finish his maths assignment and prefers this aid to any other. Angelique is working on an illustrated story, and Jessica is helping Bennett at the computer. Actually, she's still a bit young for school, but she can already read, and she'll be starting school properly after the holidays. Well done, Marcel. The penny's dropped. Angelique is helping Sandra. Sandra comes from Italy and can't speak much German yet, but she's getting better at it every day. In the meantime, Marcel is showing his maths answers to the teacher. Everything right? Let's have a look. After all that hard work, they've earned a break. In this school, helping one another is not the exception, but the rule. The more gifted pupils quite naturally help the slower ones. In doing so, they also help themselves, because you can't explain something unless you understand it yourself.
Hier musst du es nur ausrechnen und hier musst du es auch ausrechnen. Hast du dieses Zeichen schon mal gemacht? Diese.
At a very early age, this way of learning and working provides the children with the sort of qualifications demanded by business and industry, and which also help them to solve their own day-to-day problems. They learn to learn by looking around the various learning aids in the classroom until they find something to help with their assignment. They learn to make proper use of the time at their disposal, to allot it sensibly. They learn to work as a team, to put their heads together to solve a problem or an assignment. They learn self-reliance. They learn to take responsibility for their own studies and for the material and the fellow pupils they work with.
Is that your card hanging there?
Yes,
Why?
because I'm the boss there.
What do you have to do?
I explain it to the ones who want to try it. Of course, this school too carries out regular checks on what its pupils have learned. However, they don't all sit down together on a certain date to be tested. Each child comes up to the teacher when he or she is ready to be tested. So it's achievement rather than nerves which are tested. After all, a dictation is a dictation, whether it's dictated to 23 children or just one. This method is also helpful to the more gifted children, who in this way can go ahead at their own pace, rather than waiting for everyone to catch up. But it's also helpful to any child who's going through a bad patch, something that adults also know only too well. The learning aids to support the curriculum for all the primary school years are all available in the classroom. This means that at any time pupils can get hold of material to help them fill in gaps in their knowledge, or can repeat exercises, or try out more advanced material if they feel the urge. The younger pupils work on the basis of a daily timetable, and the older ones on a weekly one. This makes it possible, for example, to spend several days reading if one has just learnt to read. After all, why frustrate someone's efforts voluntarily to improve his or her knowledge just because they don't fit into a conventional timetable? The class council is held once a week. It too is governed by rules and rituals, in the same way as the morning circle we saw at the beginning. The convivial circle is very important. Here, the children recall whatever pleased them best at school. Some people find this rather difficult. After all, it's easier to grumble about something.
Ich habe mich gefreut, dass ich gestern bis zur 5 alles richtig hatte beim 1x1.
The primary business of the school council is to deal with conflicts between the children, whereby the main aim is to settle conflicts in such a way that everyone involved is satisfied. The experience of past years shows clearly how much better the children have learnt to get on with each other. Really serious disagreements are now rare, which benefits everybody. Nowadays, the pupils are more likely to use the council to discuss their daily life at school and the rules that govern it.
Früh sind wir im Morgenkreis immer zu gestört worden. Und das ist in der letzten Zeit häufiger der Fall. Und ich wollte euch fragen, ob ihr einen anderen Vorschlag habt, wie wir morgens den Morgenkreis oder wann wir den machen können. Da solltet ihr euch ja was zu heute überlegen. Was habt ihr euch da gedacht?
Ich wollte sagen,
Steffen?
wir können den doch in der zweiten Stunde machen, wenn wir einen Tagesplan haben. Also haben wir dann in der ersten Stunde Tagesplan, die anderen haben Feierabend. Also wir können auch in der zweiten machen.
Melanie?
Ja, vielleicht später machen wir die. Also wir können den ja um 10 nach 8 machen.
Zwei Vorschläge. Steffens Vorschlag war erst in der zweiten Stunde und dein Vorschlag ist 10 nach 8. Der Vorschlag 10 nach 8 würde bedeuten, dass noch kein Kind anfangen muss zu arbeiten, sondern dass ihr erst mal ankommt.
It may well be that rules and practices are altered or abolished if they're no longer necessary.
Diese übervollen Fächer geguckt habe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Und wer ist dafür, dass wir um 8:10 Uhr anfangen?
Ja.
Okay, das ist die Mehrheit. Für die Kinder, die Wochenpläne haben und für die Kinder, die einen roten Korb auf dem Platz haben, lohnt es sich dann aber nicht, Freiarbeit anzufangen in den 10 Minuten. Ja, großartig. Denn dann müsstet ihr schon wieder aufbauen. Unsere Schule hat schon vor dem
Even before we started the experiment, our school always had a lot of foreign children, and that hasn't changed. With mixed age groups, it's easier to integrate them. For instance, in maths, they can do work suited to their age, while if they're just starting to learn German, they're better off with first-year reading material. Then, when they've made some progress, they can simply leave out a few steps and read material suited to their age. In the last 6 months, this learning group has had to cope with 3 children who arrived without one word of German. Our children go to a lot of trouble. They really look after the others, and the way our days are planned, they really have time to do so, because that's an integral part of the free work periods, looking after the newcomers. They take this very seriously and really help the new children to find their feet here. I find that with the mixed age groups, this works even better than it used to.
Altersmischung noch besser, als es vorher ja der Fall war.
Jetzt ist schon das Lied von der 7, der 7. Jetzt ist schon das Lied von der 7. Und wer sagt, dass ich nicht tanzen kann, oder tanzen wie ein Edelmann, das ist gar nicht wahr.
At the beginning, we talked about a normal school. But what is a normal school? Is it normal for a school to take account of the needs, abilities and possibilities of its pupils? Is it normal for a school to train its pupils to deal with conflicts, to be tolerant, towards other people, whatever their skin colour, nationality or religion. Is it normal for a school to compensate for deficits by creating family-like structures and by teaching children to be considerate to younger, slower pupils? Or is such a school not normal because at first glance it appears to be more expensive than other schools? Or even because everything is done rather differently from the way we are used to and have known for years? Or is it possible that we are the ones who aren't normal?